Hey, Arling, tonight's Adam Harris here, your head of communications and storytelling. I'm with Helena. She's a seventh grader at TMS. Say hi, Helena.
Hi.
Helena's a fellow storyteller. And the way I know that is because I just listened to an 8-minute podcast that she put together for class that told an amazing story. And I'm telling you, like, an amazing story. And I'm so excited to bring it to light, and hopefully people out there will listen to it. But Helena, tell us what story you told.
So I told the story of how me and my family got COVID like a few months ago, and I made a podcast about this. But I chose not to talk about so much the negative stuff, but about how it's important that we focus on the moment that we're in, because you really never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, love that. Because you started out and you take us on this journey along where you're having a just regular, good old, just fun day, and you're going with your family to the Morton Arboretum. And then all of a sudden, like, things start going a different way than you expected. And then you get diagnosed with COVID, and your dad does, and you interviewed your sisters about it, and your parents. That was so cool. Take me into your thought process from start of like, what should I do a podcast about, and through the end.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I thought it was just going to be about my own journey through COVID. But then when I started doing it and I found out the research, and I realized there were over 28 million cases. So I found out that my story is probably very similar to a lot of other people's story. And so I wanted to focus not so much on my own experience anymore, but on why it's important to be in the moment and be where you are.
I love it. Okay, and this totally resonates with me. I sent it to my cousin because he's been dealing with some COVID stuff himself, and he texted me back. He's like, "Oh my God, I cried after listening to that." And he sent it to his mom, and his mom sent back that she cried after listening to it. Like, I'm telling you, this is a really, really impactful thing you did. I'm gonna play a part of it, and then I want you to comment on it. This is towards the end, and this is the part that I was like, "Oh my God, I gotta get Helena on an interview." So hang on, here we go.
The first day I had symptoms, I was feeling awful, but I looked through it and appreciated the moment. I remember that day so clearly and crisply, but not because of my suffering. I remember that day because of the color of the leaves and the way the light came through the trees. I think that those little moments are what matter. If you can look past the stress and the busyness of everyday life, you would find that every moment is precious. And if you take a second to look around and appreciate it, it will leave you with a smile on your face.
Okay, that's such great insight from you. And that's something that I think a lot of people can resonate with and really benefit from hearing right now. Is that something you had inside you, or is that something that you learned through your experience with COVID? Where did that inspiration to say that come from?
Well, I mean, I guess I had kind of known it before I got COVID, but I guess I really saw it after I got COVID and when I had COVID.
The idea of appreciating the moment that is literally right there, because your life came to a stop. You have COVID, and it's you have to stop and take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to come next.
And you don't know what's going to come next. I'm going to play the final about 30 seconds or 45 seconds of the podcast, because that's another part that I thought a lot of people should hear.
The pandemic and my own personal experience with it has taken away my innocence as a child. I have seen the possibility of death and disaster and learned what true heart-gripping fear was. But that's not all I learned. I learned that when put under pressure, we can work together as a nation and a world. We can change our ways for the better. To save our lives and the lives of the children ahead of us, people will sacrifice themselves. I can see the world as it truly is. The pain, the suffering, grief, but togetherness, and the strength of love, too. I guess to truly see the good things in life, you have to see a little bit of the bad first.
Yeah. Can you just talk to that? Like, yeah, just please talk to that. That's really insightful.
Yeah, I mean, so I had a really hard time coming up with the ending. Like, I had the whole rest of the podcast done, and I had an ending, but I really didn't like it. It didn't reflect what I wanted the whole podcast to be about. So I guess I just started writing out my script first, and it just all came together from there.
Yeah. I love the idea of you saying, okay, this is a great podcast. Honestly, like up to that point, it's a great podcast. And you finished it and you're like, this doesn't resonate with me. And I think that's such an important part in being a storyteller or creating or trying to tell a message is, does this resonate with me first? Because if it resonates with me, it's going to resonate with people out there. And you did such a good job and you pushed yourself and you backed yourself up and you got back in touch. And I don't know, that ending is fantastic. And it's a great lesson. And you're right. Like this time has been time of struggle for a lot of people, but like you said, it's also been a time to show how we can all come together.
Yeah.
Okay. So last question. They've heard it from your podcast, but for everybody out there in Arlington Heights or everybody out there like watching this interview, do you have a message for anybody out there that has either gone through COVID, gone through rough times? It doesn't have to just be COVID, or just hasn't gone through it, but is scared of going through rough times. Like, do you have a message for them?
Well, before I got COVID and before my family got COVID, we were like very afraid of getting it. And I think the thought of getting it is more terrifying than getting it in real life.
The thought of getting it. And like when people get scared, the thought of being scared sometimes is more terrifying than actually the thing you're scared of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. You're awesome. I'm so glad you were like vulnerable and open and you crushed that podcast. And for anybody that wants to listen to it, I'm going to put a link in this post so that you can listen to the whole thing and share it and share it and share it because it's a message that everyone would benefit from hearing right now.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No, thank you.
Okay, Helena, thank you so much. And now we just say goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.